So tsunamis typically are earthquake generated, and although they can happen by landslides or volcanoes or meteorite impact, but that's less often. So when you have an earthquake, earthquakes are generated by fault movement, and so you can have lateral faults or horizontal faults, and so you have crust that's thrusted up instantaneously, mind you, so it's thrusted up, and when that happens, the water that's above it is thrown forward. And so you have a tsunami wave that's thrown forward towards land, and it radiates out in a circle away from the epicenter of that earthquake. Atlantic Ocean, we don't have a warning system because it's really an anomaly if you generate a tsunami in the Atlantic Ocean. And that's because when we look at plate tectonics, so that's how the continents move about the globe, the Atlantic Ocean isn't on an active plate margin. So that fault activity that I spoke of doesn't necessarily occur. Now, south of us, you have the Haitian island, and if you remember last year or 2 years ago, they had a major earthquake event that happened. It was devastating. The plate boundary that was there is a lateral boundary, and so a tsunami warning was issued for Florida, but that was really just a precaution, because it was a lateral movement, and although it can disturb the body of water, it's not really going to throw it forward. So it's, unless you have like a landslide or a meteorite impact, we're pretty safe. Okay, so the great thing that happened, if there is a great thing that happened from the Indonesian event, is there was no warning system in the Indian Ocean. And so a lot of the lives that were lost, we're talking 300,000 lives were lost from that event. A majority of those were lost because they didn't have the education, because they didn't understand the movement of a tsunami, and they didn't have early warning. So in a place like Thailand, for example, that was some distance away from the epicenter, they had about 2 hours to prepare themselves and get to higher ground. They didn't have a warning system, so they weren't able to move. And of that 300,000 lives, a good majority was lost really for no reason, just because they didn't have warning systems. So if you're close to the epicenter, unfortunately, it's not going to help you. But if you're some distance away, 2 hours away from the epicenter, and we're talking the motion of a tsunami is about 500 miles per hour. So if you're some distance away from the epicenter, the warning system's gonna help.